Mamboji was Peviore, Mamboji Taton Zomiorwa, Tinditine, Tangeke, sincerely, deeply, Gauchons.
So he would just like to give everyone a heartfelt welcome to our winter teaching retreat. And thank you all for coming. Many of you made an effort to come from distant places and you're here in person. And many of you who are attending on Zoom, it's really so wonderful to have you here with us virtually. It feels like we're really all together. And he just wants to give you all a sincere thank you and just express his delight and gratitude for all of your participation.
That the end of the not so long corman jaking on Koda Kechoji, not to Gunke Gachu Senari, that the Latine Kechoji Chadi or the end of the Tala long corman jaking on Tangazo Nambe Karsagore Keta Chul Karzungor Senaji, Tobatan, Sambatan, Gomba, Zuneta, Tari, Jig. Longkurma jaking on and Gunke got you tail a young. Today, Tindiki, Chuniam Lanchia, Gatine, and got to cook up Senari, Tindiji Glabe, Yamton Zumia, or that Latine, be Gauchons, the Chiranso in a young, Tanaji Gatine, Jessirantan, Tine, Jovaji on us.
And so, this really is what Drupal Rinpoche says he considers to be, one of our most important events of the year is this winter teaching retreat. And as you know, as seasoned Dharma practitioners, what comprises our Dharma practice are the activities of listening to the Dharma teachings, contemplating, and meditation. And so our winter teachings are really a special opportunity to kind of focus, to engage in that practice of deep listening, to a particular topic, Dharma topic. And it's also a really wonderful opportunity for us all to just come together, as Sangha, as Dharma practitioners. And it's just very, like a very important and special occasion. And so he says he really, it feels, so happy, to have this opportunity to engage in the wholesome exchange of Dharma together. And also he asks you all to, to generate a mind of rejoicing in this yourselves, and to feel like a sense of, how kind of special and what a beautiful opportunity it is.
Tandangatsuda, Gunkika choose Zung Labguyore, Yimbina Dajina, Dundan Dina Latine, Azoda, Yirka Imba, Jachika Imba, Gunka Imba, Tendi Peche, Azoda, Jachina, Tendi for season experience Jung Sigres.
Yaposhira Koma Songumta.
Tan Hita code to start, saying that Yirkana to Yorwa. Nimakahijela Tomo Chagre, Nimakahiji is Tomo Chagrua.
Oh, okay. So we call it the Winter Teachings because technically it is winter, and a good time to have a retreat in Florida. But, there is apparently quite a variety of temperatures in this course of the 10 days that will be here today. So like right now it's pretty warm. It's almost like summer. But apparently next week it's supposed to get quite chilly. So we'll have all 4 seasons in this one retreat. We'll have summer, spring, fall, and winter.
So tene da nga so te yin de tene jibo yo sares wa.
So it's really nice.
tene da azo tere da tanda di dangi kong shuba na yire that's just joking but da tandi kong shuba na yire da nga so dan jikten di na le na ko kadu yinbi na yang ji da jibo yo wa tang dewo yo wa tang 대가 나 이게 직다 고 강에 요와 틴디데 고 직텐디 게다 가서 거래 직 내추럴 라인도 오레스 힘비는 양다 직 단단가 저 그섬노 땅비는 양 직텐디 나라 항상 게 주르바 슈침보 루요르와 틴디벤 조보 쇼첸보 틴디진 조고요레 틴디케 줌센텔 때네 당가 좀 참점 가리용 곳에는 가서 지 this 다 almost everybody로 지카세거레 셈데라야 다 데오메야 다 디스치코 틴디 연구요레 티용데다 티용야데 nga zo ge ji pa ka tuyang da wo ji ke yo ma re nga zo nu pa yo ma re yin bi yin na yang ta tin ri ke ko ji chong bi ka la nga zo tan da ba na gung ge ka chung do ni ma di na la te ne ko ji tu tang ge hong de wa na ye chu la to ba gong ba o ta tin ri lo lo chi ne ji 치게다 갈색 거래 지금 주로 가는 로그요나 그 뒤에 왕도 마송와 틴리치고야 돼 개체모래야 내가 나 개체모 인바자 마지 비게 델랑아 저 갈색 거다 라라 소소고네다 갈색 거래지 미나 메타메와 오다 틴리지 차디요레스
Mena meta.
야 미나 메타로 very important
And so, all joking aside, if, we have such a variety of experiences in this life, sometimes things, in this world, there are so many different phases of different experiences and situations, some which are really pleasant and periods of feeling really happy and then where everything is well, we're going well, we're healthy, we're feeling like things are going our way, we're successful, not a lot of hardship or difficulty, and then of course periods where great hardship and difficulty strikes, and this is just the way of the world. And if we think about, how sort of tenuous our situation is, that it's quite striking, it's quite extraordinary how much is changing all the time and how fast those changes are and how powerful those changes and differences can feel. And so almost everyone has periods.
Particularly what these days.
And in particular these days, this is really something that people are feeling, how palpable this sort of pace of change and the unfolding of impermanence. And so a lot of people are feeling fear. A lot of people are feeling anxiety, feeling stress. And so we can't change the outer circumstances, the impermanence, the flow of change. But so there isn't much that we don't have the power to stop these things. But we do have the ability to choose how we work with our mind or where we put our focus. And so to have these opportunities, such as the winter retreat, to choose to spend our time in Dharma community or in practice, really working internally, applying study, contemplation, meditation, then regardless of what is happening externally, we are like a calm in the storm. We are able to hold, to our internal sense of peace and well-being without being overwhelmed.
오다 티인들이네 다 단다 티인들다 가존들라 다냠 공기 가까추 틸라드네 단다다 용게 참말로 게 되네 가조다 갈세거리 추 토바당 되네 곰바 오다 텐디 제아들라 되네 지 라지부 기치 더 마인바 라와 지 잠블랭 데베게 타 심젠탐지 데베게 타 오다 텐디제게 책임 잠비 꾸론 텐디제게 토네 되네다 참랭아서 꾸론 텔라 되네 양 고칼세 거래 지 샘게 넘버 오버드 리미트라와 텐디 테양 테네 가서다 곰디스 지역이스다 곰지압네 지 샘메토 빙고원에나 테네 가서 단계디 지 가세고레 꾸노데 탐메와 꾸노데 자첨부 차로고레 변한 가서 tel라부도 장저 샘로지 지비나 장저 샘데 군접 장저 샘데 가서 타요거레와 원데 니제레 판토치기 맨데레 판토치기 다 테네 심chen 테네제레 판토치기 있어야지 고 타지 요레와 가서 탐메와 지 토고요 말에 티인도다 곰자와 달라데네 양 통나 창조선 소 다들 탐매와래 되네 심년 담지 차바래 어때 더나 얘기 가서다 다리 지 당보군용 군접 근원에 대해 네 드린다 주체해야 돼 담을랭 대야 대답용와 심년 담지 기치디 좀바 티토네 가서 곰지 잡이나 되네 벤누 받첨보 톱 첨보 대가나기다 곰지도요 다 갈세는 주념량 지지도 직당 가서 곰자라도 그 남토 왕도만도 지그요 대치도 되네 다 추치 세야게다 제당대 되네지 차디요 어떻게 되네 세마잉바 오다 되네지랑 가서다 되네다 karma 니휴스 되네지 곰자긴스 되네다 가서 고주고요 봐
So, so as we begin this this retreat, this winter teaching retreat, then we can, now we can spend some time. We like kick the retreat off with some meditation, because what we also want to do is really set a strength of pure intention, so that we, when we engage in Dharma practice, it's so important to expand our motivation, so that it's not just our sort of default is to do things for ourselves, for our own sake, to better ourselves, but to really expand that motivation so that it's not just, for our own sake, but that we're really having the pure intention to engage in practice and study of Dharma for the sake of the entire world, for the sake of the entire universe, to benefit to bring benefit to all sentient beings, to be able to benefit others. And so, so this is really the method to achieve the benefit of others, is to practice Dharma. And so when we have that kind of intention, that's really vast, then our Dharma becomes very powerful. Because the concepts of our mind have a limit. It's very, limited, very limiting. And so this is also where the import of meditation comes in, because when we meditate and we have this we establish this pure, vast intention, and then riding on that pure, vast intention, we're able to disengage from the limiting concepts of conceptual proliferation. Then that is how bodhicitta really arises, and not just the relative bodhicitta, but the ultimate bodhicitta. Because normally when we have the intention, an intention of goodwill, or we want to benefit beings, it's usually limited because it's usually focused on someone in particular, or a group of beings in particular, or it's a concept. But when we combine that kind of aspiration, that conceptual aspiration, with our meditation that is dropping the conceptual focus, then there's the potential for that pure intention of relative bodhicitta to expand into a really vast, non-conceptual, all-pervasive, with bodhicitta that is free of direction, free of focus, but just limitless in its scope and its power. And so then it really does, this is how it becomes a very powerful intention, very powerful motivation. And so as we generate that powerful intention, and we practice in our meditation not falling under the influence of ordinary conceptual mind, then the practice itself becomes non-distraction, sustaining undistracted awareness. And so now with that, directing our mind in that way, then let's begin this retreat by meditating together. So we can take 20 minutes of meditation.
Mm-hmm. 된다 가서 대다 조단다 군계가 주 다태야 디 제트 가서나 다 남자 말이 되니다 가서 이제 캔디 키나네 수도 수임이나요 되지 세른고 노되냐지 세른군동에 샤타지 차디요레스 되니다 뭐 참여게 세른고 고고도 삼바 지부게 contribute marwa tine tela tine ko tsiring bo do bar chi wala tine jo thang chen thang tine mongbo ji chang gu gre tin ti na ne da ke che hyo de kar chen da nga zo sela nam sum la do che la o da ti na ne ta na nga da nam jar ma de
So also just to touch upon the different subjects and activities during this retreat and why or what the benefit is. So first of all, we have tomorrow the empowerment of Namjama or Ushnisha Vijaya, who is in particular a longevity deity, a deity associated with longevity, the powers of longevity. And so in general, everybody needs the blessings of longevity. Everyone wants to live a long life, and there are benefits to having a long life. And so, of course, even though we wish to live a long life, just wanting that is not going to make it happen. So actually what creates the situation of longevity is, are many factors, many causes and conditions have to be present in order for someone to be able to have a long life. And among those different causes and conditions are, the support of practices and blessings, empowerments of longevity deities. And in particular, in Tibetan Buddhism, there are the three deities that are especially associated with or endowed with the powers and blessings of long life or longevity. So they are referred to as the three longevity deities. And Namjama is one of them.
진리들이다 대중구도 정원을 못 지겠더니 근데 송거다 등장 지용차네 다 지금 로야 침보차도 다 로자 전도부터서라 자동세양로도 대가나 이게 되네 지금 로레에 나오는 거다 파트리세야 지어와 tindiji tene tangri yores yinbi na ya da jamo yin ro khore ke gongye la da mixe ke tindi bena da chatong la so ba je chu ke karse go da celebration tindi ma yin ba ti ke chap la tene nga so da 아직 배나 세릉보 대야 tindi기 치도라 되네 메센디기 나나 차발람도 용야 tindi기 치도라 되네 다 남자 마텐디 다 저타 남자 말라 뭐 남자 동추세야 저뭐 뭐야 되는 동네요
같이
어다 아리다 기면도 남자 메키냐네 제야다 개체모래 손 대가나 이게 다 다나가서 지용차네 다 바트리들이 믹센도 지차디오리 파타위나 지 바트리즈도 지 스페셜로 이나요 고체종로 요로와 다 디체종로 위 뒤텔라 되네가 정원에 바트리 니모텔라 되네 세롬로 사 레다 바트리 셀레브레이션 치는 디그리 되나요 다 되네 제위나 다 원에 세레데요 다 기본이야 대오용이야 나자마야 다 되네 팽기로와 대마도다 지고 바트리 케지보사는 지키나 슈거 몽보사 되네 그 수부 헬드 도운도 쓰기로와
So, also, His Holiness Chetsang Rinpoche, particularly with his this most recent birthday, his 80th birthday, he asked all of his followers to, instead of having like a grand celebration or a birthday celebration, to practice Namgyalma. Uh, and actually, because and to make aspirations for longevity, for his longevity, and for longevity in general, and for all activities and Dharma activities, and aspirations to to be fruitful and successful. And so also this custom, he said, that we have of birthdays, it's kind of interesting because everybody gets really happy about a birthday. We have a birthday party and it's a grand celebration, and it's fine to have a grand celebration of a birthday, but the irony of it is that each birthday our life is getting shorter, where our life is getting exhausted. And so, and then the habit of having a party and eating lots of cake, which is just loaded with sugar, and it's also sort of like a, something that's not so auspicious in a way because it's not great for the health, right? And so in a way, it's sort of like a contradiction to this idea of longevity. And so in the place of having, or together with having a birthday celebration, perhaps on birthdays, it makes more sense to do longevity practice, like a practice of a deity such as Ushnisha Vijaya Namgyalma.
다 디인도 다 데려 가서 되네. 다 상제 당 되네. 장접 선바도 좋게 지 심야 강라 강도 송도 지 강라 강도 송도 되네. 베직 세릉보 토부도 삼나 되네. 세럽 제야 되네. 나산로 나기 요나 되네. 메나고미야 라소베기 되네. 되네 요르와 대인도 다들 도고야데 개체모이 사례스.
And so we have all these different deities, or meditational deities in Tibetan Buddhism, and the reason for that is because, and they're all essentially the same in their essence, but they have different energies or qualities and particular kind of attainments that are associated with them, and this is because of this great diversity is due to the enlightened activity of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas manifesting in whatever way is needed, according to the needs of beings, or those beings to be tamed. And so when there are obstacles, such as obstacle to lifespan or longevity, then the enlightened activity of the Buddhas, in kind of manifesting in a particular form that brings that energy of longevity, are these long life deities such as Namgyalma. Or, for instance, in the face of the obstacle of sickness, then we have the manifestation of the medicine Buddha, or and the practice of, say, medicine Buddha practice. And so there are all these different qualities that each of the unique deities possess.
소모땅거도와 티인도다 가서 데레 직강이 세나리다 동에 초스 철와 송도티네 지가 나기도 삼바리다 나야 달라 가르차디고 라비나 되네 지다 가르세고 가서 마데와세 그러와 리티 이네야 마데비 티 줌센들 때네 어쩌다 매나도 냠냥 치비나 되네 지다 가서 그 쟁이 초스 철와 차대기 요레스 제네 니네 가르세나 다 가서 나사디 나야라 고 가르세나 오지 레세야지다 고 체지 젠세야지 니다 가도이나 용되기 요레스 대인도 다 지 베나차샤비나 지 ngoji lendo ji yimbina tene nyamle majina mendo ji sabina tene phengyo mares tan cheji jenji go yina tene mendo sana phengyo res.
And then also, so we have all sorts of different hardships, difficulties, sufferings, and there are ways to bring those hardships, those difficulties onto the path so that they become a companion to our practice. So, for instance, if we have difficulties and hardships, such as illness, and then those become a condition that motivates us to practice, then that seeming obstacle or negative condition is something that ends up becoming a great companion to the path. So, for instance, if we're sick, if we get sick, and when we get sick, there's the karma that is often part of the cause for that illness, and conditions, like the kind of incidental or momentary conditions that have contributed to that illness arising or manifesting. So usually there are those two factors that play, and sometimes there's more of one than the other. And so if it is karma primarily that is the cause of that illness, then often that's when, even if we do different procedures, we take different medicines, we maybe have surgeries, and nothing really helps, that's often a sign that it's primarily karmic in nature. And so if we don't practice Dharma, then we won't recover from an illness that is primarily karmic in nature. Whereas if something is primarily, due to these incidental conditions, then like maybe medicine alone will heal it. But most often it's a combination. And so therefore, when we encounter obstacles such as illness, then it's really important to also, or beneficial to practice. And that practice also helps to avert those negative or purify those negative conditions, and help us to overcome the obstacle.
디니다 내가 천효지 가르치는 것도 추념련 집이네 가라 다단다 나차인 비나래 베나 나차도 당다 나차 지부 말에 가서 해그러 와 디인도 되네 다디 고내가 아직 차되기도 다 참례 가서 양데스 다 내니 연구도 와 내제 가리 연구서나 다 지금 나야당 해야라 고양 현황을 올려고요로 와. 양 강사 찍디 가르선다 될랑가 저 가르선나 오다들이 넘바 가서 랍두 가르선나 오다 가서 해나 해 개요 말에 나나나 개요 말에 라이레 되네 고 나와라 가와지 조와지 해야라 가와지 조와지 그래스다 되네 랍고요로 와. 다들 랍고요리 되네 다 될라 맞아 하고 고야지 요레스.
Garela?
tel 하고 고야지 요레스. 하도.
So also a really important point is that, and it's not so probably one of the biggest, obviously, challenges or forms of suffering that we confront in this human life is the difficulty or the suffering of illness. And not just that, but death. And often those two are linked. So there's illness and then death. And so, often it is the case that there's a lot of fear around illness. There's a lot of fear around death. And as practitioners, there is the attitude of kind of befriending illness and death in such a way that we feel like we can take it on. So, with an attitude of, if I get sick, so be it. I'm sick. I'll, be happy or delight in my sickness. If I die, let me die. So be it. I will die and I will be happy. And so there is this kind of approach as a practitioner, but there's something to understand about that.
다 디인도 다 가르치는 것도 다 참내야 뭐 고디스 로호 전부도 다 신나 히 개면도 로지 삼고요로 와. 아 신나 히 나나 좀야 다디 되게요 말이스. 고
Oh, keep going, because there's a koya couple mangsa lab go 그래.
다 가서 되게 양가 했고 어다 신나 히 정말 희그리 할래야면도 고 나나나 개면도 로 삼고요로 와. 이나 텐드기요 말이스. 다 가리고 오고요래 양 통못들라.
So at face value, this attitude.
Not everybody's same, but.
And maybe it's not the same for everyone, but at face value, it sort of can look like this is like courage, So it's like a really courageous attitude of sort of I can handle it, whatever it is, like it doesn't matter, and so okay. But it's But it's not actually just that. It's not really that.
다 디인도 가르치는 것도 단다대 정도와 메타바 곰고그레 송야도다 좀생요래 가르치나 다 tindije게 다 신루고 요와 나기 요와 텔라 추와 내전지 다 랩그러 랩고 요래스
The kapla.
마티가 다 나그레 zam그레 티까마다 다 나그레스 히그레스 요라와 티 추와 내전지 랩고 요래스
Nieshi.
다 티추와 랩네 와 티추와 랩네 다 당기나 요다 히나 히 나나나스티 엔드요 말레스 다 가르치고 다 제고고 요래서 배는 가서 다 메타바서 못 하나 되네 희야라 타니오로와 되네 다 타기 치고다 타기 치네 되네 배나 차샤비는 나그고나 다나 나사 나그도 스타 나사레스 삼치다 양나 배나 상지면나 냠내지야 다 대가나 희가 시사레 다 곰자 냠내치 티가도 효자버렸어 당긴나 요다가 희나 희케면도 좀 어때 티 팽마와
So we have to take it the next step. Like, it's not just this attitude of, kind of courageous, whatever happens, and I'm fine. It's so, like, for instance, when we meditate.
So that is not beneficial, So that is called ignorance, So yeah, I die, But how you this? What do we have preparation? We don't have the preparation. So yes, you no need fear, sickness, and death. But same time, you're understanding maybe I will die. I will sick. That's sure, right? So then, I need focus. Prepare. If when we the sick. So there you have to practice the medicine Buddha. Or, sure, I said sooner or later we die, right? And then we need to prepare. You should know the practice. Okay, how much left the time, I don't know. So, not that long. So we look like short time. During the short time, what need to do? So that means practice. Really focus. There's important things, but particularly, so what we are Dharma practice. So really, I enough time to prepare, this time. So that's you have thinking about.
Ningyo, enough time de tes komasong.
nga la de kars left over rawa nga de mtsiki lama yorwa Metze lama tela, ti tanga ti chunyamne chine tene, tutsu dangi doge samutango.
So it's like in the time that we have left in our life, like, is that enough time? Do we have enough time to practice? And to the extent that we need to.
Right. I think very difficult to be not enough time. So we always say busy, no time, right? But really, I don't know how much we have time to the practice. So that's really need focus, okay? So when you have time, so
Make good
that's
use of
kind of
your
like
time.
whatever. So practice, recitation, or meditation. So doesn't matter, okay? You have to put into the practice. So then, when you die, when you're sick, then you're familiar, Then really, okay, right now I said, oh, I died, that's okay, I died. But that's not okay,
That's not
prepared.
enough. We
Not
have to
enough.
be able to be like, it's okay if I die because I'm prepared.
Right? But then through the practice, you really enough the practice. You really enough the experience. Then you're okay, I die, happy, okay? So that's, I think, very important part is, I think Milarepa said, right? Milarepa said, I chillazamne relatula do.
So thinking about death or with fear of death, I fled to the mountains.
Be hansan hegdos. That teniji go bro.
And so we need to be like that. Like the point being that it was fear of death that motivated Miller up to practice.
Tene chilla some relatives.
So thinking of
Tene
death,
namji chami gomne. Ta nga so ta kechi modo. Pe na tombare jokchen ri tene re modo. Ta namji chami metawa gom do. Honga. 남지 참이 곰곰네 슬라도 티니 다 같이 일다 걸어 다 같이 왠지 봐 텐트 되네 거다 오네 하비 차오래 나타나 해나 해 티니 되네 다 제야세야 다 해나 요 말에 되네 지민 유미 진짜 세종도 돼 고체야 요 말에 the laugh 요 말에 제야 요 말에 오다 티니 다 텐디지 가서 주님을 챙기고
Chimegare.
Chimi nyumi tsensa sita chea yo mari la wordanga.
So then he said, so fearing death, I fled to the mountains, and I am meditating again and again on the uncertainty of the time of death, or kind of the inevitability of death. And so that's so profound, because it's not like, meditating on Dzogchen, meditating on emptiness, meditating on Mahamudra, meditating again or continuously on the inevitability of death, on impermanence. Then he says, that I overcame the fear of death by seizing the stronghold of the state of deathlessness, or realizing the truth of deathlessness. And so, this is really like the great example of true practice.
So also I think the important part, right? So whose power, okay? Okay, really sick, right? So sickness more power, or your practice more power? Do you understand? Carlos?
Is your sickness more powerful, or your practice more powerful?
Right. And your practice more power than sickness, then you're okay. So the familiar there, so when you count the same time, yes, of course, you're physically sick, right? But same time, your practice there, or medicine Buddha, or mantra, and same thing. Okay, you're thinking, maybe I'm dying, right? And then, same time, maybe your death, and your experience whose power. What's that?
Death or experience?
Huh?
Death.
The practitioner, Dharma practice.
Like realization?
Yeah, realization.
So which is more powerful, death or your realization?
It's more power. So then you have more realization. Then, like Mulareva said, well, I know that, So that's in order to get that. So then they really need to daily routine, have to practice. So then when you get, when you need it, so then you have experience. Well, that in the end, that thing you can't show na yere, that thing got so that, Karsakota, choose ya the temporary danger in young day, Tindi into the name of that, Mr. Zambuyake, Chitola, Tindi, that life, Larwa, Sendelatini, also Namjameke, and Yamnacha, Tindi race.
And yet, as a symbol of auspicious interdependence, so that we can really practice to the point where we have that level of confidence, then, we want to receive the blessings of longevity so that we can live a long life and really can bring our practice to the fullest fruition possible. And so that's, why Drupal Rinpoche has chosen to give the empowerment of Nam Gyalma Ujnisha Vijaya.
The subject
And then, likewise, another very, one of the topics for the event is the teachings on the Bardo. And so, on the topic of death, there is the intermediate state after, we die. And there's no one who's not going to die. And so, since we're definitely going to die, we want to be familiar with the process. We need to gain some familiarity.
That thing tell us that Padona, that vacation boy. That's something also. Shigre somebody yori tina not 100% everybody, but tina yang that sometimes also do jagi hendo growa.
Karela?
Also tops hendo yoris.
Hope to gala.
The hopes in that get on hendo growa. Yina yata telecarsena koji, also hibi nekala, tene that mahi big mola, tene jig. Also that get on the temram that and then the temram yori, temram do de yori. Imbina yang. Tako temnemtni harumbe kala otanga hindosa reza bitene loje graba ti phanto yores ta thi kabla karsena tene otanga tene hisare zamne ta ji ko hiya ta ngone ke karsa ko ta thading do ta samutang graba ta thi kabla tene nga so ji ke dikpa ya ya ina re ji kla jian gomya da zoram gomya da ta ti thading do chi graba o thi ndu tene Temram Tenitini, Temram Mario, Reda, Temram Kablatini, Hakona, and then also Chuchiaki, Kokab Yores.
And so like with the teachings on the Bardo, there really can be benefit in receiving these teachings and really becoming familiar with the process as it's described, because it will help us at the time of death. So when, it's really important to have some familiarity, because based on the teachings that we receive, then it's, it can happen, in all sorts of different ways, but there are certain signs that will be perhaps recognizable, and not every aspect of what happens at the time of death or in the Bardo is 100% the same for everyone, but there are some pretty clear things that are considered to be pretty general and universal. So if, for instance, when we start to experience, say, the stages of dissolution, and there are the two categories of dissolution, the more coarse level dissolution, stages of dissolution, and the more subtle stages of dissolution, and in either of those or both of those, when we're dying, if we go, oh yeah, I heard about this, I'm dying, right? And so then the mind can say, okay, I got to focus. I know where I need to direct my mind in this moment based on recognizing those signs, those processes. And so that it also helps us to be more prepared. And so, for instance, we say, okay, I'm recognizing these signs, it's happening. So now I need to really just purify, focus my mind on regret for my negativities, and sort of there's the mind then goes through a process of purification, confession, or now is the time to bring my Yidam deity to mind, or, to practice the generation stage, or to practice the completion stage. And so when we recognize like the demarcating signs of dissolution, then we have a really strong kind of inclination to direct our mind in a way that supports our practice at that very critical time of death.
This is more important. Carrier lavina, then, Tangas Shivitsavi Jela, carrier senata, Koji Chua Senare, Ta Tavrem Senare, Ta Tinigan, Konabana, Sobati, Harguores, Ta Ruxos Guntrina in a day. Tindiji Harumbe Kavla, Ta Padola Tana Juba. Tindiji Yimina, Tene, Karimbata. 하코기요레스 템레인바데 하코기요레 대가나이다 지 칼세나티케 파도케나라다 강이 지 요와트솔라테네 지 랑이 코란게 중웨케 템렘 틴리리 삼고르 마토베케테네 지 파도 하코기요나 텔레히나타 지나 요마레스 틴리제케 파도티 하코기메비나 테네 제탕가서다 나게 중와도 템로고레 이나야 하마고네테네 지 갈세고다 중앙에 템발라서 오발라 그지 삼지 메차비기다 손나 라마다 요사르와 베르니아르와 초초바 라소비기네 초발레부 요사르와.
So, and more important, also after we've died, and then we, like the experiences of the bardo start to shine forth or appear, or kind of the delusive experiences of the bardo that ordinarily a being would not have any idea what's going on, and they would just get really, more and more fearful. But with some understanding of, what it is said occurs in the bardo, then there's the potential to recognize what's happening and to be able to overcome the fear in that situation because we're able to recognize it as the illusory appearances of the bardo, or in all of the different stages. For instance, when there's the dissolution of the elements also, the coarse dissolution of the elements of the body as we're dying, then, if we don't know what's going on, it can be very frightening. But if we can say, oh, I know what's happening here, like, this element is dissolving into this element, and we're able to recognize, it brings a peace of mind and there is less fear because one kind of knows what's going on. And so otherwise, without knowing what's going on, and there are these really foreign sensations and frightening appearances and different experiences, then it can be something that causes one to be really afraid at the time of death.
믹세리 갈세나다 디 무슨 디군가주로가 디군가주 나한테 디군가주랑 angeta kaju rang ketene ta lama je kete cha de yori tin tin na le ta koji nyamle cha chang chia yo wa tin ji res
Tene yang chi tang pena den de te chak chen nga den gi jela yang san san. Okay. So then Kimpo Tenzin Nyima Rinpoche is also then teaching on the kind of most important practice in the cycle of the Dzogchen Yangzap cycle of practice, the three roots. And it's the Yangzap is it is a Drikung Kagyu cycle of teachings and practice that is also particularly connected with Dzogchen. And it is a complete cycle or path of practice in itself. Like it contains the Yangzap contains all of the progressive stages of the path.
So that's it. So tonight we stop here. Thank you again. So all the physically here, many people and many people in the online. Thank you. I'm really happy to probably work 10 days, whatever, so we are practicing and teachings and meditation. So thank you, everyone.
Okay, so we'll do the dedication.
Page 24. By the virtues collected in the three times by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Drikungpa Ratnashri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. And to page 19. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. Changju Senjo Rinpoche Makye Panam Kekyorje
Thank you so much, everyone. See you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
Thank you.
So today, right now, is summer. So how warm? Okay, so then
Tomorrow's still pretty warm, I think.
tomorrow maybe summer. Right. So Monday is different situation. Good, good. Thank you. Good night.